devastated too. The British and the Russians, they got their ass kicked too. America's been there many years, and I ask myself why we don't learn from history where empires go to die. They say it's terrorism, that's political malarkey. Just follow where the money goes to a corporate oligarchy. The food crops they once grew with a plow and a hoe been turned into opium poppies, growing row on row. Our infrastructure's crumbling, our social structure too. It's a corporate scam, they don't give a damn while screwing over me and you. No public outrage, I don't hear no public cry about sending young men and women where empires go to die. We lost people and treasure in Vietnam, and there still ain't no upside. We're doing the same in a no-win game where empires go to die. It's a new world order agenda with a demonic rising tide. They want America's soul in a deep dark hole where empires go to die.
Do you have a paranormal story you want to share on Night Dreams Talk Radio? You could be a guest. Email us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com.
You're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark with our host, Gary Anderson.
And that is me. Well, George had a lot to say. Again, all things paranormal. Is there life after death? I think there's something. And, I hate to say it. Maybe it takes till we pass on to find out what it is, James. But I think that there's something more than what we're living for. I mean, our time is so short on Earth. It seems like everything you learn from grade school, high school, college, workplace, and then all of a sudden you're expired. There's got to be something more.
Oh, definitely. You know what? 100%. Now, I know from my own experiences there are, but there's some people have doubts. But, yeah, there is. I agree 100%.
Okay, well, let's get Tom on, because we're going to talk about a subject here tonight that is called abuse. And that's what we're going to talk about here tonight, about abuse. Tom is the singer in Metatron Power and Light. Hopefully I'm calling the right number because I'm not getting the answer. Let's see if we got Tom on here. Tom, are you there? Hello? Well, gee. Well, this is the number I have for him, and it didn't. Well, we'll try it again. So let's give it another try. Tom, if you're listening, I'm calling you on the other line. So let's see. I tell you, tonight is just going by so fast, but...
Yeah, George had a treasure trove info.
Well, guess what? Hey, Tom, are you there? No, it's not going through. Okay. Well, I'm going to call his backup number. So, do you have like a half a minute thing you can talk about real quick there, James?
I do. I have a report that just came in. And matter of fact, here it is. It's just came in. A red-eyed winged humanoid confronted by O'Hara International Security Officer. The name's been retracted, but he lives in Illinois. He goes, I reluctantly writing to you to report something that I saw a week ago on Tuesday. A little background. See, let's get right to the story. Okay, on the night Tuesday, December the 3rd, 2019, I was heading toward one of the airport cargo hubs. There are multiple hubs scattered throughout the airport. This particular one was the one located on Express Center Drive, and it houses at least 6 cargo companies. I was approaching the creek, headed toward Montrose Ave, when I saw this large person standing down in the creek bed. I stopped, thinking it was maybe a trucker who decided to wander down and relieve himself. I put on my lights and stopped my vehicle and was preparing to get out when this man turned toward me, and I saw 2 very bright red eyes. This thing appeared to be looking straight at me, and then it turned away and walked away. As it did, it unfurled a set of wings, and it began to flap them. It looked like a large goose when it wants to take off into the air. It took off into the air and was gone into the darkness. I was left there wondering what the heck had just happened and what had I just seen. After I got home, I spent the next few days looking for similar sightings, and that is where I came up with this website to report these cryptids. That was just last Tuesday.
Interesting. Well, let's see if this number goes through and we can get him. And let's give it a try. I'll tell you. Let's see.
Hey, Gary.
Hey, I tried calling your landline, but I guess for some reason you weren't picking it up, so we're now, on your cell phone?
So are we all good?
Well, can you hear me okay?
Oh, I can. How am I coming through?
You're coming through fine, Tom. How's your day going for you? How are you feeling?
You know, I was going to ask you the same thing. I'm over that wonderful flu that's been going around, and did a 1-hour workout today, and I feel pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing better. I mean, I almost back to my normal self. But, I tell you, it came on really fast. My granddaughter came over here, didn't tell anybody. Well, she told my son that she was sick. Yeah, and then they prepared dinner for us. And then a couple of days later, like about 4 days later, I started getting sick. And it was just like, hit me really, really freaking fast.
That stuff is wicked.
Oh, yeah. Now, for the listeners out there that don't know who Tom Davis is, the bumper music we use on our show, a lot of it, Tom is the lead singer with the group Metatron Power and Light. And I'll tell you what, they have a good connection into the paranormal. I mean, their music just fits perfect with the show. It fits in perfect. Like if you're into the paranormal, it's just you did a great job with your whole group of your band.
Well, let me say that I share singing duties with Val Von Torn, who is my female counterpart, and she is an absolutely wonderful person to work with. She has this angelic voice, and every time that I have written a song where she thought that something could be improved, she let me know, and she's always done an outstanding job. So thank you, Val. I appreciate it.
And she has a great voice too, to boot.
Oh, she does. I'm privileged to work with a great group of great musicians, and they're very spiritual people. And I think the reason that I ended up with them, it was meant to be. They're all highly intelligent. They understand a lot about the paranormal that a lot of people don't, and they've had UFO experiences that I'll talk to you about maybe another time, not tonight. Okay.
Well, tonight, a little bit about your background. Why don't you tell listeners a little bit about your employment background?
Okay. I started as a police officer Pearl Harbor Day back in 1978. I started with the City of Lake Forest Park Police Department. I went on to work for Department of Defense. I worked for U.S. Border Patrol. When I left federal service, I came back up to the Northwest, and there was a hiring freeze on, and the only department that was hiring was Briar PD. So I did 20 months there, and before I lateraled out to Snohomish, I spent the last 18 years of a 23-year career in law enforcement there. And let's see, then I went to work. 1 week after 9/11, Boeing called me, and they asked me if I was interested in becoming part of their security team. And at that time, there were some things going on with the police department that I was dissatisfied with. So I went down, had my interview. And after my interview, I had a lieutenant come up to me, and he said, you have the job, but you won't receive the letter for 2. So I went home, I knocked out a retirement, I'm leaving letter, and gave him 2 weeks notice and went to work for Boeing Security for 12 plus years.
Interesting. So you've seen a lot in law enforcement. I mean, everything from, the Border Patrol right down to smaller police departments and all that stuff. I want to get into this because I had a situation. I have 8 kids. I have one child that, backtrack. When he was about 16 years old, he used to be really into playing, well, he still is. That's his life, video games. But he was drinking mass amount of energy drinks, more than we even realized. And then he would sit there and play, these computer games on his computer for hours and hours and hours. And all of a sudden, he had 16 or 17 seizures right in a row. And after, he was in the hospital, the last time it was so bad that he thought, while he was in the hospital, he was in a special space force where he would go between Earth and Mars and all this other place. He would go to the special room in the hospital, and then they would transport him. When he got out of the hospital, we had a little problems with him where one day he just took off, and we had to call the fire department, the police department. We went out looking for him. We found him, in the woods. Up by where we have, there's a couple mile area of woods. He was in there, and when the law enforcement went up to him, and I was there along with the fire department, what are you doing? And he goes, I'm here with my family. Well, who's your family? Well, my family's the raccoons. I realized we had a serious problem on our hands. Meanwhile, they tried to put him on medication. They overdosed him in the hospital. Like 100 times more than he should have, according to one of the doctors. And it did some damage to him. Instead of being that sweet, lovable kid he used to be, 1 minute he's normal. The next minute he's out of control. You say the wrong word, he's out of control. And I was worried for a long period of time. I kept telling my wife, we're going to have some serious problems. And some of the serious problems would be he'd be standing over our bed at night. This is going back a couple years ago. And he was standing there with a butcher knife looking at us. And it scared me, Tom, like you wouldn't believe.
Oh, I would believe.
But then when I confronted him the next day, what happens is when all this stuff goes on, a half an hour later, he doesn't remember it. Then it started getting to the point where he started here recently getting violent, where, he would, start shoving his mother, hitting his mother. It got to a point where he, even hit me. And then he got to another point where my granddaughter was here, my other son was here, and it got out of control where the police had to come. They arrested him, and now he can't make contact with us for 2 years. He goes to court here next month. But how many people have you seen? When you're younger, I think you can control it. When you start getting older, I'm going on 68 here in January. And it got to the point where I was getting scared. I didn't know what to do. And when you call up law enforcement, 9 out of the 10 officers that would respond didn't want to get involved. They would say things like, well, you need to go get a restraining order. Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm not to the point now after my last injury, I can walk 20 feet with a walker, and that's it for about a day. Sure. And I have worked hard just to even do that. So I try to explain to him, I don't use a wheelchair because that's a psychological thing on me. But to get up to my house, we have a mini farm. You have to go down